Hey guys, thank you for joining us again and welcome back to Clear It TV. I am in West Palm Beach with Pete Price. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you got going on here.
Hey guys, I'm Pete. I'm a tattoo artist here in West Palm Beach.
So Pete, tell us how you got into tattooing. Where did this get inspired from, and when did you know this was going to be your career?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I'd been an artist my whole life. I used to draw and paint as a kid. I went to art school when I was younger. But then in high school, I got into the restaurant business and kind of thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life. I was managing a couple restaurants and nightclubs, and I sort of thought that was going to be my future. I wanted to open my own place eventually, and I'd always been into getting tattoos, but when I was a kid and doing art, it was never a thought in my head that I wanted to do tattoos, or even really that art would be in my future. Right. It was just sort of more fun than going to regular school.
Right.
And then when COVID happened, it really changed the restaurant business quite a bit. And at this point, I already had 2 sleeves and was into getting tattoos, but every shop I'd ever been to was just your typical strip mall, hole in the wall tattoo shop, a room this size with 8 guys crammed in it working together. And
right.
It just wasn't an environment that ever appealed to me, you know? I liked going there and getting tattoos, but I never thought of it as a place I could see myself long term. And then I was playing competitive paintball at this time, and a lot of the guys I was playing with were in Miami and getting tattooed by this guy, Mike Rodriguez, in Coral Springs. And he was the best tattoo artist I had ever seen at the time. And all my tattoos up until that point were done in someone's apartment in Lake Worth.
Okay.
And but I was ready to get my hands and knuckles done, and I really wanted someone good to do them, so I went to this guy, Mike Rodriguez, and he had just opened a brand new shop in Coral Springs, and it was unlike any shop I'd ever seen before. It wasn't a hole in the wall strip mall.
Right.
It was wicked, decked out and fancy and nice and clean and big, and it was just very high-end feeling compared to anything I'd seen before. There wasn't posters of flash art all over the wall. There was nice, cool artwork.
Which are most of the tattoo shops I've been
right.
to.
Every shop I've ever been to was just that cookie cutter same vibe, and this was so different. So as I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this place, it was very nice and clearly very expensive to put together, and I knew what I was there to pay Mike that day, and I see these 10 other guys working in the other room, and I figure he must be making a percentage off of them too, and I just thought this guy's got to be killing it.
He knows what he's doing. He's got the game down.
I just start picking his brain while we're doing the tattoo, and I'm like, dude, if I wanted to get into this, how does someone even start tattooing? And he laughed a little bit and was like, can you draw? And I told him what I just told you, I drew my whole life. I went to art school when I was a kid, and he was like, oh shit, if you can draw, you just need someone to show you how to use the machines. You'll probably pick it up easy.
Wow.
Come by whenever you want and I'll show you. I've told Mike at this point, but I don't think he realized in the moment when he was telling me that, I could get into it and it would be easy to pick up. That conversation changed my life in such a crazy way that...
I mean, that's beyond mentorship.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I'm very grateful for that guy.
That's awesome. Very cool. Pete, what is your approach when someone comes in and they don't know what they want? I'm sure, people don't come in here with an exact drawing of, their ideal tattoo. I'm sure you have to put your influence. So how do you approach that?
Well, fortunately, and you're right, it does happen all the time. And technology has made it so easy these days. I'll usually sit down with them in the iPad and just pick their brain about, even if they don't have an exact idea, whatever things they're into or concepts that they might like, or even if they have anything saved on their phone of tattoos that they do like. And then we'll just sit down and, we have the internet at our disposal on this iPad, and we'll just go through images and look at references and look at different ideas, and I'll put different things and piece different things together in Photoshop until we get to a place where they're happy, and we can really manipulate anything on the iPad and create anything you can imagine.
Right. So Pete, how do you feel the tattoo industry has changed over the last couple of years, especially with the influence of social media?
Yeah, that last part is the huge part there. I think social media has changed the tattoo industry quite a bit. And in my opinion, in a positive way. Again, this might be a hot take. There's a lot of old heads in the tattoo industry that think social media probably ruined things, but I don't know if I would have the career that I have without social media.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can say for sure I wouldn't have it. I do know marketing of any kind other than posting my videos on Instagram, and that has kept me booked for months for the last 6 years now, and I also think it holds everyone to a bit of a higher standard, because now it's so easy to shop around for different tattoo artists because you have Instagram at your disposal, and clients can be more educated now. It's so easy for you to look up the style that you like and find an artist that specializes in that style, where for the longest time, up until even like 5 years ago, people just walked into their neighborhood tattoo shop, whatever shop was conveniently close.
And that was it. I mean,
and you just ask, hey, can someone do this? And someone's going to say yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean they specialize in that thing or they're going to give you the exact outcome you're looking for.
Yeah.
Where now it's so easy to find someone that does exactly what you want. And also, like, a studio like this wouldn't really have been able to exist before, because what I operate here is a private studio, and so I don't like have my address posted publicly.
Right.
I'm the only person that works here. There's no other artists, so it's just me one-on-one with the client every day. And I honestly prefer it that way because I think it's a more engaged experience with the client. You have my undivided attention. I feel like a lot less intimidating, because getting a tattoo is sort of an intimidating experience to begin with.
For sure.
And walking into a shop, and I think a lot of people who have been tattooed a lot have been in that position where, like, you can sort of get swayed in a different direction that maybe you didn't have in mind by your artist, and then it's harder to kind of stick up for yourself when you've got like 4 other artists being like, yeah bro, you gotta go bigger, you gotta go bigger, you know, like. You know,
I'm actually glad you said that. When I got this a Thunderbird tattoo on my arm years ago, and when I went into the studio, it was supposed to be this big on the inside of my arm, and I left with this like half sleeve, and like I remember getting out and I'm like, what have I just done to myself? Like, it's not what I thought I wanted. Now I love it, but good. Yeah, so yeah, it's what you offer here is like such an intimate setting that I'm sure that just calms the nerves and lets people really think about their tattoo, as opposed to like the hype of just being in the energy of a tattoo studio. Right. All right, Pete, if you could tell someone that's never had a tattoo and they're walking in to get their first one, what is your expertise piece of advice you would lay on?
Kind of piggybacking off what we just said, I would start by not just like walking into your local tattoo shop and settling for whoever's available at the time. Like, do some research and figure out, you know, if you know what it is you want to get, find an artist that specializes in that style and whose work resonates with you. And the second thing, and this is a conversation I have a lot with clients, is especially for their first tattoo, a lot of people are intimidated by the pain and scared of the pain, and the conversation a lot of times is dictated by like the location, and they're trying to pick a placement and they just go like, should I put it here? Like, how bad does that hurt? Or like, how bad does it hurt here? Right. And I always end up telling them, like, you should really just put it wherever you really want it to be aesthetically, because it's gonna hurt a little bit no matter where it is. There's very few spots that are gonna be like excruciating to the point where you can't handle it. And if you want to put it there, I'll tell you. But you're going to have to look at this thing every day. The pain is only going to last for the however many hours we're working on it, and then you have to look at it in that spot for the rest of your life. So, okay, Pete, I'm sure in your years of doing this, you've had some pretty curveballs thrown at you. Have you ever refused a client for a tattoo? And if so, what was the reasoning why? So I've never had anyone inquire about anything like offensive or like racist or something where I had to be like, I don't want to do that. If that were the case, I would probably say I don't want to do that. But the only time I ever find myself turning people away is typically when it comes to cover-ups. I do cover-ups all the time, but every cover-up is different, and sometimes people have like a false expectation of what's achievable, and you know, they might have like some big dark thing here that they're not happy with, and the reality of covering up something big and dark is you're going to need it to be significantly bigger than that, and it's not going to, you can't like magically make it lighter, you know, by blasting white in it or something. And it's got to be a lot of pressure on you, like someone coming in with something that they're already unhappy with, and it's giving them an unrealistic expectation of what you can and can't do. Well, I usually end up recommending they go get a couple removal sessions done to try and lighten the tattoo that's there, and that gives us a little more flexibility, because if you just have black ink. So that kind of leads me into my next question. So when someone comes in and you know you can't cover it up to not only their satisfaction but yours, like you said, tattoo removal is a good option. How often do you see that you need to suggest to someone to go ahead and start with tattoo removal? Well, I suggest it. It's not uncommon for me to suggest it. I feel like it is typically uncommon for people to take the advice.
Knowing what little you know about the Clear It tattoo removal method I've shared with you, does it put a little bit of ease knowing that you can send patients now, or clients down to have tattoo removal done in such a significantly shorter amount of time? Do you think that'll make an impact on some of your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you just said is the perfect point. I think that's also a deterring factor to people going and taking the advice of getting some removal done first, is they go get quoted for removal and it's like 10 to 15 sessions, which is going to take them months, if not a year or more. And they came into the studio that day thinking they were going to get a tattoo that day. So then postponing that a year is like, well, okay, what are our other options?
Yeah. All right, so Pete, how many tattoos do you think you have? I know you can't count them, but let's start with how many years have you been getting tattoos?
I was begging my parents to let me get a tattoo when I was like 16 years old, and they were not going for it. So I think like the day I turned 18, I was probably in a tattoo shop.
Yeah, you and me both. I got my first tattoo the day I graduated high school, and I was still 17.
Nice.
So my parents will shoot my sister for signing for me on that. Having a little bit more of an understanding about the Clear It tattoo removal method, do you think this will make an impact on people before they go and get tattoos?
Yeah, I do, because I think with tattoos getting more and more popular these days, like it seems to be more common for someone to have tattoos than not. But I think for the small percentage of people that don't have tattoos, a lot of that stems from just the fear of like commitment or it being permanent. And I hear people say it all the time, like I change my mind about what I like all the time, and then what if I get this thing that's forever, and then in a couple of years I don't want it anymore. I think knowing that there's an option out there that is much less intimidating than the current removal process would maybe free up some of those people to be open to the idea of getting a tattoo, knowing that in the future, if they absolutely don't want it anymore, it's a realistic option to have it removed.
Yeah. All right, so what goes on here? Tell me about this process.
This is where the magic happens, man. So the couch we were just sitting on is kind of where I usually will do my consultations with the clients, and we'll kind of sit down, figure out the design, get everything ironed out on the iPad exactly how they want it, and then I transition that over here to the Magic Mac, and then my stencil printer down here. Again, technology has made this world so different, where we design something on the iPad, and back in the day you would come over to a light table and then have to trace that design. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have had the iPad either, but you're tracing your drawing on a light table. Now we just airdrop it to the computer and a printer just prints it right out. And so I'll print out a bunch of different sizes so we can get the exact size you want, and it's all done in seconds because of how far tattoo technology has come. Where
that's amazing.
Before, all those stencils would have been hand drawn, so you weren't getting a lot of size options.
So tell me, like, what's your average size tattoo you do? I guess like in time. Put it in time.
Sure.
Because I know it's going to be different.
I generally book either 4-hour, 6-hour, or 8-hour sessions, and in the last year and a half or 2 years, I've really been focusing on larger scale projects, so I do a lot of full sleeves, half sleeves, and big pieces. So most of my sessions are in that 6 to 8 hour range. But also with like trends and stuff, fine line and single needle stuff is still very popular, so those take up some of those shorter windows also.
Very cool. All right, so Pete, when you're getting in your groove, doing some tattooing, what's your music? What's your background? What gets you rocking and rolling to sit there for 4 to 6 hours?
So it's funny, it's changed as of recently. My studio before this was in a warehouse, and so my neighbors were like never there, and I would be, personally, I'm like a rap guy, so I would usually have rap on, but at the point of starting the session, I'll just give the client the remote and say, put on anything you want.
Cool.
And for me, a lot of the time is spent like talking with the client. I'm not one of those guys that like has to put in headphones and lock in to focus. Like sometimes we're shooting the shit the whole time.
That's awesome.
And then sometimes not.
All right, so Pete, if you could do your dream tattoo, what do you specialize in? What's your style? What are you known for?
Lately, as of the last like 2 years, I've really been focusing on portraits and just black and gray realism. I've always liked doing realism. I've gone from, you know, fine line micro realism to now a lot of my larger scale projects, and I enjoy sort of everything in between. You know, over the years I've done a variety of styles, and I kind of enjoy switching it up at times and doing a little bit of everything. So I'll do color from time to time. Cool. But yeah, if I was picking my dream piece every day, it would be like a black and gray portrait, just because I think
Pete, the question everyone's going to want to know, if you could tattoo anybody in the world, who would it be?
Man, it's a really tough answer to narrow down to just one, but the first thing coming to my mind would be Post Malone, I think.
All right.
I did a portrait of him a few months ago, and it was like one of my favorite tattoos I've ever done, and every time I see like a video of him interacting with fans or people in public, he just seems like such a nice guy. And I don't know, you know how it can be dealing with celebrities sometimes, and like it's not always a great experience. I feel like that would be the ideal.
Yeah, I you know, as much as obviously I don't know Post Malone, but you know how I see him interact and getting to meet with you, I can imagine you two really taking it off up here on the table.
I hope so, man. I think maybe one day we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit him up, Post Malone.
Hit me up, man.
Awesome. Well, Pete, thank you so much for inviting us in. You have an amazing studio. Seeing something, you know, at this boutique and personal, for someone to get something so personally done to them, this is a game changer.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Your artwork's amazing. It's been a pleasure to get to meet you, and if I need some ink, I know who I'm calling.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Alrighty.